We want to turn to our top story and the crisis in Canada's long-term care facilities. Ottawa has issued new guidelines for safety. As we're learning, nearly half of all COVID-19 deaths are linked to outbreaks in these facilities. Joining us this morning is Minister of Seniors, Deb Schulte. Good to have you with us, Minister.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Anne-Marie, for having me on your show.
The guidelines make a lot of sense when it comes to infection control, but there are very real challenges to implementation. And while we can all agree on the importance of long-term care, there are a lot of people saying the issue is how we value that work. What resources will your government make available to the homes to help them meet the guidelines?
So thank you for that question. I just wanted to step back a bit. As you already said, we have implemented and released some evidence-informed guidelines to help the provinces and territories. It is their jurisdiction to deliver the services in long-term care facilities. So we've provided the guidelines. So across Canada, there can be a consistency on how they implement these and go forward. We have been very involved in supporting the provinces and territories. Just going back a little bit, you've been doing the stories on the shortages of personal protective equipment and the need to have those to keep our frontline and essential workers safe. So Canada has put in over $2 billion and been working around the clock 24/7 with the provinces and territories to ensure that we have enough personal protective equipment. And these are incredibly important if we're going to keep people safe, especially our seniors in long-term care facilities.
Yeah, absolutely. We can agree on that for sure. But what resources is your government going to provide to help the provinces implement these consistent guidelines that you've now put in place for every home in the country?
So at the moment, what we're doing is focusing on making sure that the provinces and territories are working with them. It's a Team Canada approach, so we're working with them to implement these, and we are open to suggestions and recommendations and requests. So as they've been asking us for help, we've been working to support. That's what a Team Canada approach is all about, and that's the way we're trying to deal with the crisis that comes up out of this pandemic.
Well, one of the questions being asked as early as this morning, in fact, is we spoke to Jane Meada. She's an advocate for the elderly. She wants to know how your government is planning to work with the provinces to make sure that seniors who right now are suspected of having COVID-19 are properly isolated so they don't spread the virus within the rest of the home. That's a question just this morning. They are looking to your government for some help.
So we've heard the stories about, one of the things that occurred, we were looking at other countries and provinces were looking at other countries and seeing a surge in the healthcare system. So what happened was there was a big push across the country as this pandemic was waving through the large centers and then spreading out across Canada to try and make space in our hospitals. So there was a lot of people moved out of hospitals and into long-term care where there was space and into other facilities. And so now there's a thought that maybe we don't have the surge coming that we expected. The social distancing that everybody's doing is working, and it's so important. That is the most important measure that we can do. It's in Canadians' hands to make sure that we keep this under control. So there is a possibility of moving some of those people back into hospitals to make space and get that physical distancing that could be required in those more congested facilities.
Minister, just before we let you go, I do want to ask the question again about resources. I know that the guidelines have been put in place to provide consistency. You've pointed out that masks have been coming, the PPE. But in terms of personnel and people, what kind of resources can you offer the provinces to help get actual workers into homes? There's a real shortage right now. Some of that's going to come down to money.
So right now, what we've been doing is helping them where they've been requesting. So they were requesting for us to be able to support them where there may be some foreign students that needed work permits to be able to come in and work in the homes and work in our health facilities that were almost ready to graduate but didn't have work permits. So we have been there to support the provinces and territories as they've been asking for support. And that's the partnership with Team Canada. They have the jurisdiction to implement. We're providing the resources where requested, and that's how we're working together to help keep Canadians safe.
Mr. Schulte, I want to thank you for coming on your morning today.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.